Yes. So hi everyone. I hope you cannot hear the fan that is my best friend for the summer here in Barcelona. So it's all good. Okay, great. Because I hear it really loud. So I'm really happy to be here with you tonight. I'm Caro. We've seen each other's like in different calls and the call of last week. Today I will hold space with Cathy, that is based in Egypt, and Tom, that is currently in England. And for myself, I'm like currently in Barcelona for 2 months more, and then I will move to Thailand. So I'm in a big move, big wave, like surfing the waves with all the rest. So I just wanted to welcome everyone and to tell I'm super happy to hold space with Cathy and Tom, that for me are like kind of legend in the community. So yeah, so they're really like they have like really great stories to tell about their own experiences. Me, Caro, I'm in the community since like 3, 4 years now. I'm really grateful for being here and share our experience through the playlisting, because this is what we are going to try to uncover tonight, and just going to admit people, or if you Cathy can do it, or Tom, please. So yeah, the topic of tonight are how do I like handle like the playlisting in some 3 different DAWs, digital audio workstation. So Tom will start with Ableton. Okay, and then we will have like a break, I think. And Cathy will cover Audacity. And me, I'm gonna cover like Logic Pro. It's just for you to have like yeah, like to cover this theme about Logic Pro, Ableton, and all the DAWs, and to understand how to do simply to do like to create your own playlist and your own like sonic stories in a simple way, I think. So we will try to do it, and we will have like a space for question. And also, I remember that Antonia wanted to share something about how to select the station, the digital or audio workstation that you want to use. She did like a mini introduction, a mini video that we can share with you tonight as an introduction also. So the aim of this call is not to have headaches with so many technical terms. We will have terminology, but we will make it like simpler, I hope, for you to handle simple and complexity, like a different kind of a story, sonic stories. Okay, so guys, if you want to add something to the introduction, please go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. It's nice to be here. Thanks for the introduction, Caro, as well, who is also in her own right creating legendary playlists. I've been very interested in the way that she's mixing music and bringing these new dimensions to the inner dance. Yeah, I maybe a few of you have seen me on the calls before. I'm Tom, based in the UK. I've been using Ableton for quite a while now. I started off with Adobe Audition, and I've tended to go towards mixing pre-mixing playlists, because I find you can get these waves. There's a bit more precision that you can get with the waves. I have started using the pre-mixed playlists live. This is going to make sense quite soon, but running my playlist straight from Ableton in more recent sessions, which means that you can play around with the tracks and see them all on the timeline and arrange them and rearrange them and do all kinds of things while you're in the session. The way that Pi uses Ableton is slightly different, and I'll explain all that soon. But yeah, it's good to be here, and it's good to be sharing something that feels very close to me. I've always enjoyed playlisting, and nice to be here with two inner dance heavyweights. Katie, if you wanted to add anything at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, hi everybody. Really nice to be here. I think my imaginings of what I would be doing this year was definitely not to be talking about how to use a technical musical doors thing. I didn't even know what a doors was until about 2 weeks ago. So I was like, it's just these programs, and then they're all talking about doors. What on earth is that? So yeah, I'm like, how can it be easy? How can it be really super simple? And yeah, if I can use this and I can mix stuff, then definitely anybody can, because I'm the least technical person ever, ever, ever. I haven't even got Spotify. I'm like, it's too many apps. I can't do it. So so I do my best to yeah, explain the way that I've figured out yeah, with Audacity how it suits me. And I have to say a huge thank you to Catherine, who's in my group, because she really, really helped me with it. She worked it out first, and I was like, I need you to sit with me and tell me this. So yeah, big thanks to her. Yeah, nice to be here.
All right. Well, if you look in the chat, I've loaded up a file. It's Ableton Basics. This is just a PDF I put together. It will act as a menu that we can work through. And I'll walk you through some of the basic things from there, and some of it will look more relevant when I'm sharing my screen and showing you on screen what I'm doing. Has anybody used Ableton before? Show of hands. Anybody? Nobody. One person. Great. Okay. Most people are newbies, so it looks really, really intimidating when you open it up. It's just got so many buttons and little flashing things. I would say you don't need to worry about that. I still only use about 10% of what it can do, and I'm able to create things that I feel really pleased with. So don't be put off by all of the dials and things like that. It does look a bit like a space station, but you'll be absolutely fine. If you do have Ableton, does anybody have the program on the computer but hasn't used it? Yes. Okay. So if you want to have it open, you might get some benefit of just running through some of these things while we're talking about it. I'll share my screen here and show sound as well. Okay, I should be able to see my screen and my formidable filing system. There we go. Right, so Ableton, for those who are brand new to it, this is some of the stuff we'll go through today. So you can see on the PDF, there's just little diagrams that are showing you which buttons mean what and how to press things, and it's a lot less complicated than it looks. That might not be true. It could be more complicated than it looks, but you don't need to know as many things about it as it has on offer just to get started with it. So we'll start off at the beginning, which is usually a good place to start. So if you can see my screen, this is what Ableton looks like. So the first thing to notice with Ableton is that you have these tracks running down here. This is what's called session view. This is what Pi largely uses. This is where you can feed in inputs into Ableton and have things running on loops, so you can create things live, and Pi's really got quite adept at that. I tend to use the other way of using Ableton, which is called arrangement view. So if you go up here to see these two little buttons here, this with the three lines going down basically means your timeline's kind of going vertically, whereas or there isn't really what you would call a timeline that you can see. It's just things playing in loops again and again and again. But what we're going to look at today is the other one, which is arrangement view. So just by going up to that button, you can see this is now set out in a timeline. So you can see at the bottom here, there is numbers, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, right the way up to whatever it is that you want. So let's see if I can find a way of minimizing this screen. I guess I'm going to be able to do that. That's the one. Okay, so I can't see you. So if I'm running off course and talking about things that nobody understands, then please do stop me mid-flow. That's completely fine. Basically, what we've got here now is a timeline, and I'm going to load up something that I made earlier. But before I do that, we'll go to the next part, which is selecting your audio output. So whenever you start an Ableton, like a new project, you will want to do this first to set up your audio input and audio output devices. So basically all that is we go up to the top here, we go to live, we go to settings, and it comes up with this preferences window. Mine's already set up, so it means that when Ableton plays, it will play through the MacBook speakers. You can... Hello. Is that somebody asking a question? I can't see. Or is it just general noise? All right, I'm going to carry on. You see here, this is the output device, so it's going to play out through my speakers. I can play it out through Zoom. I can play it out through headphones if I've got them connected. And this is the same for the microphone as well. Like, what's the input that I want? What's the input of my microphone? And then what's the output? So once you've got that set up, usually it will, when you first open a new project, it will look like that, but you won't be able to do really very much because you won't be able to hear it. So it's useful to have some way to hear what it is that you're creating as you're creating it. So go to those settings there. Then I will open up a project that I have had recently. So this is actually two projects in one that I have been creating. And they look quite complicated. And I suppose they are a bit complicated, but once you start to get the basic building blocks, it settles in and it becomes a lot simpler. So moving on from there, we've got arrangement view timelines, and then we want to go to adding clips. So there's a couple of ways to add clips, but the easiest way to do it is to just go for a basic kind of drag and drop. So if I move this over here, if I want to add something, say like Odeon loop, I can just drag it across my thing here and stick it on. Actually, I don't really want to do that. Just there, because that will cover the project. We'll do that again. So I'll grab it from here. I just move it across and just drop it onto the timeline here. And then you can see it will start to load up itself. So now we've got this loop. I'm going to play it and let me know if you can hear it. I think you should be able to, because I'm also sharing sound. Oh, I can't even hear it. Okay, that's good. Let me change the settings on that. Speakers to Zoom. Let's try again. It could well be because the volume's not actually on. So you can hear this now. This is playing everything that this cursor touches. It will play, but there's nothing else there. So it's just using this one track. And you can hear this is the big noise coming up. Nice and simple. When it gets to here, it will start playing. Now you can hear this track playing as well. You can isolate that one. So it just starts playing tracks as you drag and drop them onto your timeline. You can just pick stuff up and move it around like you're just dragging and dropping, moving blocks of Lego around on your screen, which is really, really useful. So it's very, very basic like that. So moving on from there. What you saw at the beginning was all of these red lines on the thing. You can see them here now. This is what's called automation mode. So if you press on the Mac, I'm actually not sure what it is on the PC, but on the Mac, it's just the letter A. If you go on ableton.com or ask ChatGPT or something, they'll give you a list of all of the short keys. But basically, if you press the letter A, that will turn that off. So now you've just got these clips that you can move around. I can crossfade if I want to drag this one into there. I would go up here and drag this little handle, and then I would fade these clips together. This is actually very, very long fade. I'll make it a bit shorter. So you can hear that clip's getting quieter. The other clip's getting louder. And if I want to play around with that, I can grab this little handle here and play around with, and you see the thing moves around as well, like the wavelength, because it will make it quieter here or louder here. It just gives you a nice bit of a gradient to play with how you want to do a crossfade. It's just like a very simple way to blend two things together. Another way that you can crossfade is obviously you could put it on the timeline below like this. And then you could grab this little handle here, and I could grab the handle at the end there and just drag it across. So as this one fades out, this one fades in. Both of those are kind of the same, and they work equally well. So we've actually jumped straight to the crossfade section, which is here. So that's not on automation mode, but if we want to go to automation mode, this gives us a lot more scope to play with. So I'll press the letter A again, and these things come up here. So these are what's called keyframes. This red line will control how much of whatever it is that's listed here will affect the track. So this one at the moment you can see is on track volume. So this will affect the volume. I can add some keyframes here. I can bring the volume right down, so you won't be able to hear anything that's going on here. Oh, because it's not playing anyway. But even when the track starts, you won't be able to hear anything. But gradually, over time, you'll hear it getting louder and starting to fade in. So this is another way that you can control fading in like that. You can turn the volume right the way up, and it will create this nice kind of fade. And then if I want it to go down again, drag it to the bottom. So you can have it fade in and then fade out, and then fade in and then fade out. Even quieter there. So that's really cool. It's keyframes. I use keyframes a lot, and there's a lot of different types of keyframes, because basically you have keyframes for every effect that you can think of. So every time that you put an effect on there, you have a keyframe setting which you can fade it in and fade it out. So for this one, it would be, we'll just stick with the mixer. On the mixer, you have basically speaker on. So that means that the thing is on. And then it goes to off, so you'll hear it playing. Then suddenly it will stop. So that means it just turns the track off, going from speaker on to speaker off. Bring it back on again, you can hear the music again. It's still operating within these volume keyframes as well. So it's whether it's on or off, the volume keyframes are still having an effect. So So some more keyframes that we can use, and bear in mind, whatever you set the keyframes to using these buttons here, they will always be having an effect in the background. So if I take this from track volume and I go to reverb, this means, well, the reverb is already very high on this, so it means that the reverb is at the top. You should be able to hear if I play it. Just make sure my volume's on. Might be a bad track to do reverb on. You can't really hear it because there's already a load of reverb on it anyway. If I was to take something like maybe the Dolphins will work. So as to take something like Dolphins. Dolphins, please. No. It's because of the overall volume. You hear the Dolphins at the moment. Sounds like they've got a lot of B delay on as well. They're very high on reverb. If I take the reverb off, they've got a lot of B delay on still. If I take these effects off by lowering the keyframes, the sound's a bit different to if I add it on. B delay, which is another keyframe thing you can use, basically adds a kind of an echo. Nice to make things sound really weird. I really like it. Let's see if we can do some of this with a voice. Okay, so this has a lot of reverb on right now. Take the reverb off and it just kind of flattens it. Reverb is just like if it's in a cave, it has that kind of nice hole type effect. And if I want to make it sound even more weird, I'll add some B delay, turn that up. It's actually quite difficult to hear, but it's nice if you want to create that weird effect. So you have a few things that you can do with the keyframes. We've gone through all of this. You'll be able to see all of this here. You can adjust them by dragging them around on your timeline. If you drag one keyframe across, it will delete all of the keyframes that were there before, and which is actually quite useful because you don't want to go around deleting every single one of them by hand. Clicking on the red line is always going to add a new keyframe. Clicking on the individual keyframe, if I click on this one, it will delete it. Holding shift while clicking and holding down on a keyframe allows you to adjust it in small increments. So say if I wanted to adjust this, but this seems like it's going quite fast. If I hold shift while I do it, it lets me go through each single, what would you say, decimal point of the volume or the B delay. So I can really start to get a bit more precise with how I want my levels to be there. Clicking and holding the red line allows you to adjust the whole line, which is useful. So if I press shift again and I click on the line, it allows me to raise the whole line by itself. I can do the same with this one. Or maybe I could do this one here. And I can raise the whole line. So I hold shift and pull the line up and it allows me to do that. So we've got individual track volume, and then down at the bottom, when I slightly embarrassed myself by not having the thing play when I wanted it to play, that was because this master volume was down. So there's keyframes down here for the master volume. So I can take this really, really high, which would raise the volume on every single one of these tracks here. So all of these will get louder. And if I want to just say like here, when I'm finishing the song, the mix, and I want everything to go quiet, I will just lower the volume on the whole thing. And then it goes from here. Get steadily quieter. I mean, these ones are getting quieter anyway. You can see the keyframes are getting quieter and it's fading out, but this fades the overall thing. So if you need to do that at any time, you can do it if you're playing it live. All right. We've a B delay, we've covered that. Crossfade not on automation modes, we've covered that. This really changed my life forever. and I'm glad it did. When I discovered you could duplicate, because before I was copying and pasting manually each clip, and I wanted to repeat something. I wanted to create a like a repeating pattern of things, but I was just having to do it manually, and then I was getting the spacing wrong, and I was trying to line up beats, and it wasn't working out. So this really made an impact to what it was that I was doing when I discovered that you could just Command D and duplicate everything. So imagine I want to take a little section of Juan singing his song. We can have some volume. Okay, so I'm just going to take this. I would Command E, which is to cut. You can also right click it and you can come up with that. I believe that's Command E, right? Yeah, on mine it's Command E. For whatever reason, it says it's Command X on the thing. I'll just take this section here. So now I've sliced that clip. I just go on it and right click on it. You can cut it. And I cut it twice there. So now I can isolate this little part of a clip. I'll move it up to a different timeline. I'll get rid of the rest, move it out of the way. Somewhere else I could delete it as well, but I won't, because I'll come back to it. Maybe a little bit of this, which might be interesting. I can bring this down here, gong, cup, and bells. So that doesn't sound great, but this is just being made on the fly, so it's fine. Let's just take this. Let's just take the example of the gong, cup, bells, because maybe this would actually work a bit better. If I want to just have this sound, but I want this to repeat, I can find, by the way, I can cut by dragging this as well. So if I click and hold on this top part here, I can drag it to, and it will just cut out the rest. So say if I just wanted this amount of gong, cup, bells, they have these lines laid out so you can measure it, and I wanted it just to be this long. What I would then do from there is Command D, and I would just duplicate it, and it would just make a continuous gong, cup, bell sound. I'll turn this down so it's not too grating, but it would then sound like this. So you can imagine you could do that with lots of different things. Like you could even create a song with some dolphin noise in as well. If I cut some of that there and just had like a sample of a dolphin, I could loop that by sending it forward. You get the idea. So you can start to mix and match things. This is a very weird combination of things, but maybe it would work in some alternate universe. But you can just basically cut little loops and little samples, and then you can Command D and duplicate it, and it will create, it will add it to the end of it, so you don't have to copy and paste and drag and do all of that, which takes a lot of time. The other good thing about it as well is that you can, so if I wanted, let's click off automation mode and make a nice little crossfade with my dolphins here. If I wanted to duplicate that but have some space here, I could select the clip, and then I can also select the space. And then when I Command D and duplicate, it actually adds in the space. So you can see where that would be really useful if you have, say, like a drum beat and you want it to appear only every so often. Then you can add it there. So maybe that would actually be better for the gong, cup, bells, but let's try this. So you can see you're already starting to get some kind of strange rhythm thing, and you can do this with any sounds. This is what's really cool about this program, is like it doesn't have to be a sound that people recognize. It could be anything. It could be even if we just take this and add it here, make a little bit of fade here, and then we can take it to there and copy and paste that. So now we have something that's probably going to sound dreadful, but for our purposes, it will be all right. The whole point of this is just to demonstrate that you can start to create a rhythm with different sounds, and it doesn't have to be a sound that you even know what it is, but you can start to get creative by creating these like weird rhythms, which is kind of what inner dance is all about, creating these different rhythms. All right, I think we've exhausted the Command D function, even though it is very exciting. The next part, so you might have noticed here, I'm actually using the dolphin sounds. I downloaded this from MyNoise. There's a little quick guide of how to do that. If you're on MyNoise, you can go and order as an audio file. It just shows you how to do it there, like whichever thing that you're choosing. You only really need 5 minutes. One credit is like $1, but you can get 5 minutes, and like I've demonstrated there, you can just repeat it. So if I want to drag this and make, let's see what 5 minutes of dolphins would sound like. I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'll drag them into one another like that. I'll grab the handle and I will crossfade them. So now this should be, if I duplicate this, it will repeat the crossfade as well. So now I just have like a continuous stream of dolphin sounds that will go on for as long as I keep pressing Command D. So you can do that with your sounds and your noises. If you, and particularly when you're using the ambient sounds and blending them, you can create the crossfade there and then just duplicate it, and it will just create like a longer stream. So if you're doing the MyNoise thing and you only order 5 minutes, I mean, 5 minutes is already a long time. It will be a loop that would look, we've been working in seconds so far. I believe this is about 5 minutes of dolphin sounds. So if I duplicated that, grabbed the handle from the other side, and then I could keep duplicating this, and it would be like a 5 minute. I haven't blended that one in, but it's pretty easy to blend them in anyway. But it would create this kind of continuous dolphin sound, and you might see on some of these I've actually done that. So this is a singular clip that I've used on this one. Excuse me, that was very loud. Lower the volume. I isolate it, press S. So I've just repeated this sound again and again, blended it in. I like it. Looking at this track right now.
Oh, we don't hear like well the sound that you're talking about.
Ah, okay. Maybe
it's too low.
Okay. How about now?
It's better, much better.
Yeah. So I added some V delay to this. You can see that's already cool. I added reverb to it as well. The goal was about me. It's nice to have it in the background. It's a bit eerie and a bit weird. So there is that. My noise files, warping, speeding up and slowing down. This is a really cool function, actually, being able to speed up and slow down. So when you're, say if I want to, let's do the Gibbons. Z will undo any. If you do anything that you didn't mean to do, you just click Command Z and it goes back and undoes it. It's really good to know the short keys as well, and there is guides of short keys online. In fact, I can include that in the PDF when I post the proper one. Let's see, let's take this over here. Listen to some Gibbons to see what they have to say. Or nothing, because it's only that track. Okay, this would be like a standard rainforest sound, which is nice on its own. If I want to warp it, I would, first of all, I would click on the clip. So this appears down at the bottom. Now you can see all of these different things that you can do with it. So I can, I didn't mention this in the PDF, but I can add it in. I can transpose it, which means that it starts to get faster and faster. And higher and higher pitch. If I want to do all of that, Z. If I click on this thing and I click warp, it will change the pitch, but without changing the speed. So now if I transpose it, it's a much higher pitch, but the speed is not changed at all. You can make it sound quite high or quite low. I'm using this one here, which gives me like the big effect. If I wanted to use like a finer tune, it would be this one. This is just going with all of the units in between, say 14 and everything in between, down to 13. So it just gives you like a finer thing to cut it with. So that's quite cool. If I want to change the speed though, and I'll reset that to 0. Set this to 0 as well. If you wanted to change the speed on it, you could add a warp marker here. So double click down here, and that gives me something that I can drag that will start to elongate it and stretch it out. It has this kind of strange grainy texture to it now. Almost sounds like that bit in the Matrix where his voice starts to go a bit weird. I don't know if that's a reference point that everybody's going to get, but there is a part where he starts falling through and his voice goes all kind of grainy. So it could be nice to kind of play around with the speed of it. There's actually an easier way to do this as well. This is like the official way. This is like very fast, given this in the jungle. If you move your cursor to the top here, you might be able to mess up this clip now. Okay, so if I wanted to just cut a little bit and extend it, so I get rid of that. I go up to here, so you see this thing that's my cursor is turned to like a little parenthesis type thing. I click Shift, and an arrow appears, and as I stretch it, actually stretches the clip. This is really useful. You can make things sound very strange, like I'll go. want to stretch them a little bit. So I want to stretch them to make it faster. You can play around with the speed and the warping, speeding that up and slowing it down. You actually on the timeline, or you can do it down here as well and play around with the pitch and the speed as well. There's a couple of cool things that you can do with that, and you can start to get a bit creative, making things sound strange. I do believe I might have an example of that somewhere. See if I have a different project I can open. So I think maybe not. That's okay. Never mind. There is one where I have this very strange sounding intro. I'll see if I can get it on my iTunes. It should be somewhere here. So here are all these different playlists, and it's this one. So I took a podcast from the BBC on sound baths and made it weird. Starts off quite normal. The reason I did that is because I wanted to make this kind of chattering of the mind that maybe people would usually come in with. So I layered a few different sounds of people talking. So I cut the podcast up and put it in 4 different tracks, and then mixed it together, sped some up, slowed some down. So you have this mixture of some people talking very fast, some people talking very slow, and that's quite a cool and trippy effect that you can do if you want to really make things weird. So speeding up, slowing down, controlling the overall tempo. This was a bit of a game changer for me as well. Maybe not quite as life-defining as the duplication button, but it was really cool to discover that I could control the overall tempo of the thing. So, for example, I'm just going to make this a bit smaller. Make all of these tracks small. I'll show you how to do this soon. There's a lot. This is like the light version. You only get 16 tracks, but if you upgrade, then I think you can have an unlimited amount if your computer can handle it. But put the volume down so bring me over the top. So if I play this now, and I'll go back to the song tempo. I really wanted to speed up song, and I've made sure that all of the clips that I want to speed up they've got warp selected. So that means that they will actually speed up if I can slow down. What I can do with it then is add a marker in and start to speed it up. This is really good if you want to start that kind of autonomic rising and falling comparison. The nervous system will latch on to that speed. make it drop right at the end. Speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. So you can add in these little, almost like heartbeats that can help people to go a little bit deeper without rising and falling as well. Okay, that's controlling overall tempo. Where are we at time-wise? We're doing all right, I think. Revising, because we're getting close to the end now. This is mostly frivolous stuff. So reversing, renaming, recoloring, deactivating clips. And if you have a clip that I'll just select everything here. I want to expand all these timelines, so I'll select it all and then expand them all in one go so I can see what I'm doing. These are really useful commands to know as well. But I actually don't want these to be expanded as well. So say I wanted to do something different with a clip. It's like, all right, I don't like the name of that. I right-click it, and then up comes all these options. What do I want to do? Do I want to rename it, give it a different name? Do I want to deactivate it, make it mute? Do I want to reverse it, which is also quite fun. That can make things weird as well. And I've done that with a lot of stuff. If you want to kind of mirror it and have it going backwards as well as forwards, speeding it up, slowing it down. If I want to give it a different color just so I can see where it is on my timeline, everything's possible. So this is a useful thing to know. If you click on the clip, like right click on the clip, you have all of this. The other thing that you can do with it is if you select several clips, you can consolidate them into one. So for instance, if I want to take this and I want to put a little gong bell in the middle of it, and then I want to maybe duplicate that a little bit. This is, again, going to sound absolutely terrible, but that's not really the point. Maybe I want to put some crossfades in. Oh, you might see here that this has 2 tracks, whereas this only has 1. This is stereo, and this is recorded in mono, which means the stereo has like left and right speaker, whereas the other one just has just one singular output. So I'll blend all of this together just for fun. We shall see what it sounds like. So now if I want to consolidate this and turn it into one clip, it's like baking a cake. I would right click and go to consolidate. It will just quickly load that up. And then this thing will just become one freshly baked clip. It probably sounds awful if we can hear it, but we can't because the volume's down. I believe. It's not really essential to do that, to be honest. It just makes it easier to move them around. Yeah, it's not, you don't really need to do it. It's just if you want to kind of clean things up a little bit and move things around, it can be quite useful. So that's consolidation. Track panning. This is also a nice effect if you have things that you want to move between the left and the right speaker. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this through your computers, but we'll go to, it should be on track panning. There we go. So this will take it from left to right, going up to right at the top, going down to left at the bottom. So this is quite nice if you want to create some strange effects. I did it once with 2 different voices where they were overlapping from left to right on the speakers, and it's really cool when you hear it in the room because you can hear them just like changing sides in the room, switching sides in the room. Can you hear that? No, we can't. The volume's down. I don't know if you can hear it to your computer, but on mine, it's going from one speaker to the other side. Yeah, okay, great. Good to know. adding other effects. Like this is a very big topic, and I'm not going to go too deep into this, but you can explore this for yourself. If you want to add something to this clip, so we'll go for a very basic channel EQ. I would just drag it. First, I would go down on the categories, go to audio effects, channel EQ, which allows me to. It's just like the equalizer, so I'm turning up the bass, the treble, and the MIDI. So if I play this, I turn up the bass on it, turn down the MIDI, it just creates a different kind of quality of track. And you actually have keyframes for all these effects as well. So this is the high gain, which is the tinny sound that you can hear. Slowly make that fade. Go on the mid gain. So you can make it, move it in and out. But the fact you can do it with keyframes means that you can kind of warp it and make it sound really strange. It goes from here. You can just play around with those keyframes and move it in and out and warp it and have some fun. There's a lot of other effects you would have to go through and explore. You can even get add-ons, download packs from the internet that will give you different kinds of effects as well, and you can just add them on. They appear here down at the bottom, and you can play around with them, or you can play around with them through keyframes. Adding locators. This is useful if you just want to keep track of your work. So for me, I had some different locators here. This was particularly useful when I wanted to line a few things up. So I was looking for a specific beat here. I think it might have been on these might be old locators that I haven't chucked. But it just helps you line things up on your timeline. So if I want something to happen, yeah, I guess I've moved a lot of them so they don't really make sense to the current version now, but that's fine. This was one that I put as like, this is 1 hour. This is where it finishes. 1 hour from where it started, which was about here. So they're just little useful ways of kind of keeping track of where you are. Let's see, sizing and scrolling. Probably should have done this right at the beginning, but the easy way, this is like the 2-finger pinch will zoom in, zoom out. If I pinch inwards, it kind of squashes everything together. If I pinch outwards, it expands everything. So I can zoom in on wherever the cursor is. Dead easy. The 2-finger scroll on the trackpad on the Mac is going up, going down. If I want to, like I did before, I wanted to flatten all of these tracks or make them wider. Say if I wanted to really zoom in on what the wavelengths are on this, I would select the track, I would hit Option on my keyboard, which looks like that button there. And then I would scroll up using the 2-finger scroll, and it stretches it out. So you can really start to see and get in depth on what it is that the specific wavelengths are doing, so you can match things quite perfectly if you need to. And then if I want to close it down, I would scroll down whilst holding the Option key, and it flattens it right down. If I want to do that to all of them at the same time, I would just select all tracks basically. I actually don't want the bottom ones. You can see these are more like the master tracks. If I go down to track 16, these ones, I mean, these are kind of like the master tracks here. If I go down to track 16, I can make everything, it's not doing that. Just select everything again. Make everything really small, make everything really big and tall. That just allows me to do it all in one go, whichever tracks I've selected, which can be really useful if you want to kind of zoom out quickly and see what it is that you've been up to. There we go. So now everything's flat. I can see, okay, it looks like this. So there's instructions for that there. Turning tracks on and off and making them solo. If I just want to isolate one track, so I just want to hear what these beautiful whale sounds for relaxation, stress relief, and meditation sound like. I just click on the S at the side and it isolates it so I can just hear that. That's useful if you're trying to hear what kind of effect they have or don't. So now then if I turn the S back off, everything comes back on. Say if I wanted to turn just this track off, I would click on the yellow button and that would mute the entire track. So now you wouldn't be able to hear it even in the background. It doesn't really make much of a difference, to be honest. You can't hear it anyway, but I think these layers of sound are quite interesting. They all kind of add something, but it's actually a lot more subtle in general. Right, let's see where we are. Let's make these a bit taller. This is reasonable. Recording directly. So what you can do is record directly into Ableton. I'm going to try and demo this, and it might not work because I don't know if my Mac microphone is good at the moment, but we'll give it a shot anyway. If I want to record directly into Ableton, I need to select the track I want to record onto by hitting this button here. So that will be the record button. So that means that whatever gets recorded is going to get recorded onto track number 4. Okay, I put my marker here. So I want to record from here. Oh, by the way, when you are going for playback, if you just click anywhere on, you'll notice that that line doesn't move back to there. This is more for selecting, clicking on the track. If you want to play back from somewhere, you have to go up to the top, and so your cursor will turn into a little kind of speaker thing, and then you would click there and it would load back and go back to that point. So I want to record from here. Selected my track 4. I've got my microphone in theory that should be working. I would just hit this button up here, record. And the theory is that it should be recording everything I'm saying, but it's not. And I think that's because my microphone settings are not quite working, but that's fine. If I jig the settings, yeah, there's something going on with my Mac mic. But yeah, basically, if you've got your mic set up properly, you should be able to record directly into Ableton, which is quite fun because then, and this is how I usually do the breath work. So if I'm recording, I'll record my breath. I'll do one breath and then I'll just duplicate it across the different tracks. So failed experiment, but I promise you it does work. Finally, we get to exporting, which is once you've made your musical mess right there, you probably want to flatten it and turn it into some kind of usable MP3 file. So what you have to do is you go up to the top here and there's this kind of window thing here that you drag. You see when your cursor turns to this parenthesis thing, you would drag this window. It's like, I want to finish it here and I want to start it here. Okay, does that look good? I'll zoom in and see, okay, I missed a bit, so I'm going to start it all the way back to here. And let's see, am I running a bit too long at the end? Yeah, a little bit. So I'm going to zoom in here and then pull it back to about there. Doesn't matter whether I miss this out because it's very quiet anyways. You can see with the keyframes and the volume. So from here, now I've got this whole thing selected. Go to live, file, export audio. This gives me a bunch of settings that I can do. I wouldn't mess around with these too much. It's not that important. I think there was something that said you could just do specific tracks, but anyway, you don't need to really worry about all this. The settings will usually be fine. And then you just click export, and it will ask you to save your file, and then it will go through and just export it and turn it into like one big MP3 file. So usually that will come through as an MP3 and a WAV file, like wavelength audio. Those tend to be higher quality and bigger file sizes, but MP3 is fine, honestly, for a lot of what we're using. So that's pretty much how that works. And then once you've got it as your MP3 file is when you can start to put it into your iTunes or wherever and post it around, and you've got your session complete. Having said all of that, I will usually play my sessions direct from Ableton now. So I'll just start the thing going from here. And then if I want to move stuff around, like I want to play with the level mid-session, it's like, okay, maybe I want this to be a little bit quieter. Play around with these levels live and use the keyframes. Play with stuff. Volume. Let's go. I like it if I move it up. This is, I'll bring it in. Move it around. You can hear this starting to warm up now. Very weird sound. That was something that I've already reversed and warped, so that's why it sounds bizarre, like pretty much everything else that I create. So I think that's pretty much everything that I can teach you for now. A lot of it is just going to be messing around with it and finding your way, but you've got that basic guide now, and you can refer back to this video to just to look through it and see if you've missed anything. But a lot of stuff will just come up for you as you're doing it as well. And then if there is small things that you need to do, just go on YouTube and type in the exact name of the thing that you need, and then it will come up and you should be able to find your answer. So, right, we've overrun a little bit there. Sorry about that. But thanks everyone for your attention and time. I think we were going to do a small break now, or we're going to do that afterwards. What was our game plan?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Tom, because I know the amount of work that it does represent, just the digestion that you are able to give and to share with people right now. It's just like a lot of hours, like this sectioning and understanding the program, the sound, to be familiar with the audio world, which is not maybe something that you're not familiar with. So thank you so much. And I like the way you are moving, like the sound, like with your different effects, like left, right, and on with the panning, and also you create this this spaciousness and this movement of the sound. So thank you so much. Just for the people who joined us after the introduction, this call is about digital audio workstation. Just Tom just talk about Ableton. Kathy will talk about Audacity, and I will talk about Logic Pro. It's about playlisting. It's about the environment of the home studio, which is not something that you can do it live if you want. I think I never did it live like that with my computer. I cannot use the iPad, but it's interesting for you guys if you are interested in constructing playlists for specific publics, or such as kids or hospital, prisons, like you work with different publics, or if you just want to have like the security of the pre-made playlist at home, and then you start to facilitate, and you can also like layer your own playlist with some distortions and other application like Minus that we've seen like last week. So it's just to put a bit of context. Home studio does allow like literacy. It means when Pai talk about it, it means that you can go back to it and modify it forever if you want. You can have like an infinite playlist, but it does allow you to have the comfort and the confidence from your own space and the slowness that you need sometimes to bring about, like to construct the different waves. If you use the 12 stages of transformation or another model such as the sleep waves, the sleep stages. So this is just what I wanted to add. So thank you so much. Yeah. And maybe we can do the break if everyone is okay. And I suggest that we will end the call with the mini video that Antonia did, which would be like a conclusion, and if you to help you to choose like which program do you want. Okay, so we can make like 2-minute breaks if it's enough for you guys. Yes, let's go.
See you soon.
Okay, so if everyone now is just back, maybe we can start. Just we don't know for the person that don't have their screen on, but whenever you feel like it's okay, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. That was really interesting as well. Lots of lights and colours and it's like yeah, but really good to see it broken down. Thank you. So as I said, I'm a very keep it simple person. I don't have any Apple stuff. I've got a normal Android phone. I can I have an Asus laptop. I didn't know that either. I just read it now. So it's like I'm really not bothered about this stuff. So yeah, so I don't have any experience with Apple, but I know one of the women in my group has Apple and she's also been using Audacity with that. But I think the difference was she had to import the music in a slightly different way. I'm not exactly sure what that was. So let me share. I made a little thing, hopefully to try and show you sort of some different examples. So I thought I can show you some of these bits first, and so that you can see with the layering. And then, of course, there's lots of different effects and different ways that you can do it. There probably are some things which are shortcuts, which maybe I haven't worked out yet. And a lot of it, it's just been like press something and see what happens, and not be too precious about it. I'm quite a axe chopper in this, so I'm really like, yeah, okay, let's just see this how it goes in that place. But if you want to be very specific about things, you've got these plus and minus, so that if you really wanted to chop it like in an exact millisecond, you can do. And then if you wanted to see your whole playlist, like this is only about 7 or 8 minutes. If you wanted to see it in its entirety, you can do it like this. But then when you've got tiny milliseconds of things, it's not so helpful. So it's better to kind of have a medium-ish size, and then you can move along with this bar at the bottom, forward and back. Something which I'm never quite sure how I do it, but it took me ages to work it out when I did, is like if you click somewhere up here, it puts you in a loop. And I was like, I don't know how to get out of this. And it wasn't obvious that I was in a loop. And I was like, oh no. So somewhere on this top line gets you stuck. But what's really helpful, and I didn't know this at the time, is that if you go to edit, you can undo anything and you can keep undoing and undoing and undoing. So that's probably the most important thing to know. So with this, you can't do any editing if the tracks are playing. Also took me a long time to remember to stop the music and then do the changes and then play it again. You can layer things up in different sections. So hang on, because you're all here on my screen as well. So say here I've got a delta as a backdrop. So if I wanted to duplicate this and have it through the whole playlist, there probably is something like Tom was showing where it just repeats. As of now, I don't know if that exists or what, but I can do it from there. You have to make sure that there's enough space, otherwise it doesn't let you no, it's not letting me paste at all. Come on. Otherwise it doesn't let you put it in. You can also do it from here as well if you don't want to highlight over the clip. So then if I want that gap in my axe chopping way that I haven't measured anything, then you could just leave it. If you want to bring it together so that now this is going beyond what I've already created, but there's this gap here with a delta, and because this is the volume, I've made it lower than the other levels. It maybe isn't going to matter too much, but if you've got a song that's more prominent, this might make quite a difference. So you could either chop it, and if you can either press delete on your screen or cut does the same thing. So now I've also got a little wiggly bit here that doesn't quite match. So then I can go as much as I want. Effects is one of the main parts that you're going to use, and then come to fading, and I want to crossfade the clips. So then it makes more of a smooth transition, but you can see it's still quite low compared to here and here. So it might be that you want to make that crossfade bigger. And so you can come in here, and you've also got the option that it gives you repeat whatever you've just done. So what you have to remember is that it's then going to make the whole track shorter as you crossfade. If I wanted to say it was the very end of the playlist and I want this to phase out, then again, I'm going to effects, and you've got fade in, fade out. So it comes here, and then I might want to get rid of that. So what I found really helped me is, because you've got these layers, it can be a bit confusing when you've got things working over each other. So as much as possible, I put it in the order that it's coming in, because then it's easier to see, like, oh, this matches with this matches with this. And it builds up, even though something might play before or after. But it kind of gives, or for me at least, it gives more understanding of what's happening. For sounds, I haven't used my noise, so I keep looking at it and then I put it down again. I get lots of sounds from YouTube. There's loads of royalty-free sounds. You can make up anything. Like I put a baby scratching a glass window. You're going to find some weird shit. So you can download from YouTube, and there's tons of stuff that's not copyrighted there. Like this heavy breathing was. So hang on. What I'll do is I'll play this start bit, or just after the start, so you can see maybe from around here where there's several layers going on. Hopefully it will play. I couldn't hear yours at all, Tom, apart from the very last bit that you played. So fingers crossed you'll all hear it. Hear it.
Yeah. I, from the future, had been going back in time to help the I of the past. The signals for help were coming from earlier versions of me, not only in this life, but in previous ones too. The true out-of-body is not a time-space state or condition.
Okay, I really hope you could hear. If not, I'll send it in a WeTransfer or something. So yeah, otherwise it's a bit of a nightmare if you can't hear it. Um so so say this is a playlist that I'm working on and I want to add more layers and extend it. So here I know that I've gone up to about 9 minutes. So if I want to add something else, I go to File, Import, Audio. It's going to give me a folder. So here I've got a few places where I've got music. So it could be in my downloads, or I'm trying to keep things in one folder at the minute. I'm completely disorganized. I just put stuff in a folder and then I'm like, okay, I want this. And I don't really think too much about it at all. So if I want to drag it across, you have to make sure that you get this little hand, else it doesn't drag. And you put it in the top bar. And then I want to see where the last sounds have come. So if I've done it in an order, it's going to be 1 or 2 layers above. So these are, we've got breathing here, then there's like a space tunnel sound. So they're more in the background noises because I've got the volume lower and this one's higher because it was a quiet recording. So the sort of strongest layer that's happening at this point is this, but it's still quite gentle. So because I know that these sounds are here, I might think, actually, I want to see this lined up with the actual song because I want to be a bit more specific. So what I can do is go to here, these 3 dots, and move the track up. And where have you gone? Okay, so it took it to the top. So I can go back down to the bottom because I didn't want it to go that far. And then move track up and it goes 1 up. So then I think there is a drag thing that you can do as well. So now I can see that, okay, this one is ending or it's getting quieter and this one's beginning. So if I wanted to do it in a way that is, say, one song following the other without any kind of crossover or anything, or with a space, I can just shift it as I want to. If I wanted it to overlap at any point, I can move it around. And what's good to look for is, say, where are the quiet bits in here and where are the louder bits? And then this is where it's getting more intense. And the same with the song that you're going to overlay it with. So where are the sort of higher bits or the stronger parts? So from here, then you can click wherever it is that you want to listen from. It could be here, it could be here. If you want to be more specific, you can get in closer. So now you can see that these have overlaid with each other. And as this one fades out, you can hear the breath more. So it could be you think, oh, this doesn't quite match. It's like an overlay. So I want to fade it in to a certain point. I don't know. I'm getting chat things. Okay, you could hear it. Okay, brilliant. So we can see how it is now with this fading. So here there's more of a natural pause, and also where the tempo picks up again. So it could be that I only want to use this first bit of it as a kind of bridge, or maybe it's going to be an underlay of another song that I then make the main song. So if I wanted this to be more in the background, I can just take this down, or if I want it to be stronger, I can take it up. The only thing when you take it up is that it can come quite distorted. So you have to sort of check on that and check it with the different speakers as well. Because my speakers on my laptop to my like a portable speaker to my headphone speakers in my phone, it all sounds slightly different. Okay, so
I
say
have one question because I have a
yeah.
problem with the most important thing. So I'm listening to you and I'm looking at my Audacity, and this is the most basic question. So I can add another layer, but when I'm doing a file, yes, and open from another file, right? There is another window open. It's not adding second layer with another song, yes, to create a playlist like you have. I only have just one song, and when I want to add another song, there is opening of another window. I don't know how to put another song to create a playlist.
I don't know, to be honest, whether it's something in the settings about the way that it's laid out. I don't know. That's not happened for me before.
Can you show me again, please, how do you do it? You
To
put
put in.
file, right?
Yeah, so go to File and then Import Audio, and then it's going to come with like all the different options. If you're organized, you're going to have folders of this kind of sound or this kind of whatever.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to look like mine. So okay, so you just click on it, open, and it always takes it to the bottom. So from so then from here you can move it all the way to the the top, sorry, move it up, or to the one layer up. And then if I go one layer up, it gives me the option that I can take it all the way back down again.
Okay.
But otherwise, I'm not sure why it's doing that, unfortunately.
Yes, you know what? I think I was doing something wrong because I was doing file. After that, I was doing open, not import. So this is the problem. So I don't
Okay. Yeah, maybe try it again and
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
know. That's the
Yeah.
Ahmed speaking here. When you click on file and open, and you open every time a new project, you're not adding another file to
yeah.
it.
Yes.
So you have
yes.
to use the import function like Katie's showing. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. Okay, now I know my problem. Thank you.
That's okay. I think we're all learning as we muddle our way through. So if, say, I wanted to move this along, oops, and then yeah, you can drag it up by accident. So up onto the next layer, and you want to see how does this sound with the one that I'd put in here. Probably quite bad, but let's see. So so if I put something and I'm like, I'm not sure, let me see how the rest of the playlist sounds without this song, then I can mute one layer. So this is really handy. And then if I decide, oh, okay, let me hear it with this then, but I can mute this one. And then I might think, oh, actually, this one sounds better in this position, but I'll use the other one at another point. So if I decide that, I can take that out and then that's deleted. If I think, oh no, what did I do? Then I can do the undo and put it back in again. You've got these effects here, which is for each layer. Again, it's just like try it out and see what it is. So the add effect is for that one particular song. Master effects is if you want it to be on the whole playlist. So Audacity have got their own effects in there, and then you can choose whatever it is you want it to be. So that will then add distortion onto here. If I want something else, then I can put this in and I can take it out. And then there's more effects, which I think is with downloads as well. So, and then if you want to get that off, if so here, what did I do? So I had a rooster noise. Oh yeah, here. And the first part of it, I did it as a normal rooster, how it would sound. And then I did it as reversed. So if it's just this one playing on its own. So it sounds like a very struggling rooster. And the way that I did it, so it was one rooster sound for the length of this, all at the same level of volume as this one. I split the track. So say, hang on, I have to remember. So here, split clip. Oops.
Mhm.
Ah, come on.
Mhm.
Okay, it's supposed to split it in the place that I put the line. So imagine that it's done it here. So then I could move this, either of them anywhere that I want to, but I wanted to then change the sound. So I can then highlight this. I did a fade out a couple of times, and then I did special. So you've got invert and you've got repeat, you've got reverse. So you can play around with any of these and you can sort of do it to the level that you want it to. The same way you can say change the speed and the pitch. Again, I'm just like, okay, I'll put it down, let's see how it is. And then you can preview it before you commit. So now it sounds a bit more like a piglet. So, and I'm like, no, I want a weird rooster, so I'm going to cancel it. But if I wanted it, then I would press apply. And then, yeah, the way I had it was linked up. And let me think. For recording, so you have the red button, and I haven't done much with this yet, but of course you can record your voice or instruments, your words, anything. There are different settings for it. Somehow, maybe by look, it just worked. I didn't have to change anything with my speakers on my laptop, or I don't know what. So I was like, okay, it works, so I'm not going to fiddle with anything. For your devices, you might need to do that. So if I want to record it, I don't know if it's a bit because yours wouldn't record either, Tom, would it? Maybe because of the screen share. So say, okay, so it's not recording, but this is the way that you do it. So you press record, but it comes in immediately. So you either need to be ready or you're going to have to chop it as well. And it will make another layer underneath this one. Then if you want another recording, because at first, if I tried record, it was coming all on the same line. So if you want it to be on the next one, you have to go to transport and then recording and then record new track. And this will then give you like another layer. And then of course you can slide them around. So I need to experiment more with this one. So I'll go off of this and I'll come back as if it's going to be a new file so that I can show you how to do that. But so say this is, you finished your playlist. I go to file and then I go to save project. And if it's the first time I'm saving it, save project as, and then you give it the name that you want to, and it saves in Audacity. And then I can go into the Audacity file in a laptop and then put it wherever, like transfer it or whatever I want to. You can also do backup as well. So if you've got save project, you can do backup project just in case something happens, and then it will save it as to where you are now. So you can have it saved and you can have a backup saved too. So let me go from here. No. And then 1 second, I just open Audacity again. So now I've got a blank screen. This is how you'll start with it. And I can either go to my recent files. So this could be the single songs that if you think, oh, what's that song that I used? And you want it again. Or to open, and then it gives you the choice of what you've got saved already. So maybe you're halfway through a playlist and you want to go back to it. So if this is a clean slate, I just start, as I said, import and then audio, and I click on something, and then I've got my first line. And then same again. Oh, where did you go? Yeah, so sometimes they take a minute depending on how long the track is. So I think, yeah, if you're playing something, and then, as I said, you need to stop it to edit it, you can then click, and you might want to play it from there. Or if you're all the way along at 46 minutes and you don't want to have to use the bar or something, then you can press go back to the beginning or go to the end. And sometimes that's more useful. Yeah, I think that's all. And a lot of the sort of orders are duplicated. Like there's here, you can do it here. So there's different ways depending on what's easiest for you. Okay, so any questions? Did it? Oh, I don't know when it stopped sharing. Can you see
Right.
the screen now?
It's okay now. It was just when you transitioned, I think you closed down and
Yeah, I needed to open it again. Yeah. Yeah, so that, as far as I've found useful for me, is the way that I've been using it. And yeah, and just kept it not precious, as I said, and yeah, just be willing to throw things in and see what comes out from it.
Nikki, do you have this Audacity? Did you buy it or is it free? Because maybe I have something when you was showing up something. Sometimes in my Audacity there's not possible to open something. So maybe you have some different version.
It was free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just Googled Audacity and
Mm.
it came up as free. I don't know if there are any paid versions of it. So yeah, for Apple as well, it was also free, but it was a different link. And the Apple link was a bit, took a bit more finding than the Android or the usual laptop one.
And
Yeah.
I have a question just for the 12
Mhm.
stages because I wanted to try to make my playlist, and I did it in Spotify. Yeah, so there are cross this this name. On Spotify, you can make it like they're crossing each other, right? And I did it as I was feeling, but after that, I was listening that playlist, and I was thinking like, after the half of the playlist, I was thinking like, oh, it's not working. Like, there's something missing, and I wanted to know, is it possible that it's not working on Spotify because there's just one layer of there's just one song, or maybe songs are not good for this part of stage? What you can say to me about creating a playlist and giving a good song to the good stage?
Spotify, I've never used it, so I don't know anything about making playlists on there or anything. But I think lots of other people have used Spotify. I think probably everybody at some point gets that feeling of like, oh, is it working or it's not working? And I think that's just this kind of the chat that comes in, and we might kind of lose our confidence a little bit in those moments and think, oh, it's not the way I thought it would be, or people aren't responding in the way I hoped, or so it could be that. It could be maybe that the songs need tweaking at that point. But I always feel it's like if you've chosen a song in a specific place, especially when it's something that you've done it in advance, then there's a reason that you've been drawn to it for whatever that reason is. I really still prefer doing things on the spot, and just like I've got the music in my phone and I think, oh, I want to use this song, boom, and I'll just skip to it. So I found the pre-mixing, and it was almost like the commitment of it was quite weird for me. I was like, oh, I'm going to put this here and I'm not going to do anything. And then in a month's time, I'm going to play it with this group, and like, I'm going to be a different person in a month's time. What is this? How can I commit to this? So I've been navigating my way with that. And also I really like to be very sort of hands-on in sessions. So in some ways, having the kind of pre-mixed gives extra space for that, because you press play and that's it, you're done. But in other ways, I really like the feeling of being in the moment and really feeling like I'm totally with the group, and that I can at any second go, boom, okay, now we need this, and then be hands-on as well. So yeah, I probably, like I say, someone else can answer better about the actual Spotify part of it. But I think it's yeah, it's trusting yourself and finding, yeah, just finding what's going to work. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and I hope that was helpful. And I'll probably be half asleep tonight and think, oh shit, I didn't say that bit or something. I forgot about that button. So yeah, like I said, honestly, play with it. There is a guy on YouTube, I'll try and find it, and he's got a whole series of mini videos where he breaks Audacity down as well. I haven't actually watched any of them because I've just muddled my way along, but my group have been telling me that they're really helpful, and I'm like, oh, I'll just try it. So I'll share those, and yeah, he's good. Okay, do we need another break? Or Caro, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I will continue. I just was waiting for people maybe to ask question. Thank you so much. It's really cool to have this call actually because there is a lot of similarities in the way we are working all together, like separately on different program. And this, I think, this is the also the goal of this extra call is. To see that every brand is organizing, you know, of the program like differently, like the features, like the main features, like differently in every DAOs. So audio workstation. So it's yeah, it's really interesting that we can access to this like. For me, yeah, it's just like we are channeling the energy. The energy passes through us, and we are able to write it, like to encapsulate it through a DAO, through a program. So I think there is a lot of way to do this. Everyone can find its own way, and we can see it with Cathy and Tom. So it was really cool to go through your playlist also. So thank you so much, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
So hello, Pai. I saw you jumped in. Hope you're not too tired. So I'm gonna do kind of the same exercise with Logic Pro. We will see that Ableton and Logic Pro, they have a lot of features in common. I will stay like simple because I do things simple, and I think once you get to go along and get to use the simple things, maybe you can hold like gradually like complexities. I started to journey through playlisting through Logic Pro then with the model of the 12 stages for 1 year. Was really training, like kind of training, but like creating this playlist for every session that I had. I was like, I did like use only once like the one playlist, and the rest of my session were like all live session, like later on. Or I did like pre-made the playlist all the time. Like it gave me the confidence to know my sound and to know the waves in the journey. So I really loved it. It's not that I don't want it to use the other's person playlist, but I just felt like really in my own womb and on like a comfort zone because there is so much happening in the session. There, you never know what will happen. Anything and everything can happen. Sometimes you have like technical problems during the session also. So a lot is happening. So this was allowing me like to have this confidence to go and facilitate session with person, like real person. So yeah, now there is an evolution in my story also because like 2 years after I started to hold session live with the iPad also, and now I'm like creating my own sounds in the libraries, and I did created like 2 playlists in Logic Pro with only the sounds that I was like creating through virtual synthesizers or plugins, because all these programs, what they have in common, so they allow you to edit, to mix, to produce sound, to record sound, your voice, or to create sound through MIDI, what we call MIDI. So MIDI is like I have some notes like here. It's just to not be wrong with the all the terminology. It's just musical instrument digital interface, and it's like a way of communicating and a way to play many instruments, even if you have no musical background, even if you don't know anything about piano, flute, or any instruments. So it's really interesting that these programs have this language of communication that you can connect with a controller, like physically or digitally, and you can like access to different like sort of languages. It's like like navigating, being the captain of a boat. I would use this metaphor, not knowing the tools, but you can access to it and you can drive it, you can navigate through the ocean because of this language. So it's really interesting if you get really like a bit more geeky afterwards, after creating your playlist. So for the example I wanted to use is the co-creation playlist. Co-creating, I think it's just over there. I need to just share my screen, share sound, stereo. I will access to this, and I will also need to change some. Yeah, I will go with it now. And now the thing is not working. Okay, so just need to change the, okay, this guy. So this way you will be able to listen to me and listen to the sound also. Please let me know if you can hear me well. If you don't, just yeah, just open the mic and just tell me about that. So this is the project, like co-creating a playlist that we've been doing together live with Pi. With Kathy also was there, and she was journeying and explaining the 12 stages of transformation. And we were like voting the tracks that we wanted to combine. So in the timeline, like the DAW, the program does allow you to organize like sounds and vibration through space vertically, and time, and in time also horizontally. So me, what I like to do, because I like also to add effects or to use automation, which Tom was using. So I like to organize my sounds, like every channel holds like a sound, okay? So if I do touch a sound, I do want to trick it or bring distortion. The thing is, I will have it like only for this channel, this kind of sound, and so this is creating a lot of space in the playlist. But this is the way I like to do it also. And for this playlist, and also when I was training during this year, like practicing around the 12 stages of transformation, I like to name also the tracks, like on the left you can see it. So I name it Satisfaction. Okay, if I zoom in here, and then Dissatisfaction. No, now we cannot see anything else. Yeah, okay, Dissatisfaction. And you have all the threshold, progression, and blah blah blah. This allow me to not get so much lost, you know, too lost in the journey, because sometimes it's a real like experience and a real like process happening also when you're like creating your own playlist. So the yellow like channels, like the yellow audio tracks that you see, is a selection that we did during the live session. And then I did like so during the live session I was just assembling like the tracks and making like simple transitions. And then afterwards, when I was alone, not with the call and all, because it was really chaotic for me, because I didn't get the volume. So I did rework the playlist with adding like some textures and some different sounds. So this is what I wanted to show you, and also to show some like little tricks that we can do. But mainly Tom has gone through like the main feature that I'm using also, which is the main feature for me is automation. And what is also important for you guys, it's the gain staging. It means that you are mixing volumes right away, like in your project, to not explode like the sound wave, the waveform. If you see it's really thick, it will happen, maybe it will probably happen that it will be saturated during the session. And as sometimes you don't know which speaker you will use during a session, for instance, the sound is really chaotic, or you cannot hear the details. So gain staging is like leveling the volume, like mixing the volume. And automation brings like about like subtlety, subtleness, and details to your mix also. So the good thing is with Ableton or Audacity or Logic Pro, you can stretch the lines, you can stretch it and really see the form, you can really see the sound. So if I go and I zoom in, so I will use to zoom, so Logic Pro is for Mac users. If you want something similar, you will use like or the Ableton, like not session view, but the other way, arrangement view. I think it's called like that. Or you will use like a DAW, like called Reaper. So you see, if I zoom in, I can really see the details of the tracks. And me, I use it to do like what Tom was showing, and also Katie, the crossfading, you know, it's like blending the sound all together. So maybe we can start to listen to some sounds. And here you have the inspector on the left, you have the gain. So here you have the gain, you can manage it, and you access to automation through the pressing the A on your keyboard. So do you hear me well, like talking, and also the sound? It's really great. Okay, cool. So the main track, the first track that we have voted during the session was this one. And then I was like bringing like some kind of white noise with the waterfall and water elements. And then also some strange alien talk. And then I added like the gecko sound that I was like shopping around in the internet, in YouTube, or some free sound bank. And also like I like to bring like some more high pitched, like a sound, like to create this co-activation of the relaxation and the activation of the energy, like the two the two sides of the autonomous nervous system. So if you just want to play one sound, you press S. Sorry, everything is coming all together. And I also like did use like Northwest, that was in the list that we had, like, because I like this sound. I use it. I used to use it a lot in my playlist also. It brings like some delta, like ground, like it's grounding the delta. It's opening the body. Delta will be slower wave, and it can be also louder somehow. But if you have like high pitch, like high tone, like frequencies, you will more like associated to gamma or beta sound, like more like faster sounds and vibration, and lower, so you want to hold like words together. So this is a really good track to support this one. And you can just play around, like Kathy was saying. It's a deep act of listening, like creating playlists, develop like the blue chakra. Is really a deep listening of the sound, of the bodies, of your body, and you're listening not only with your ears, but also with your whole body. So yeah, you can see I use also like aluminium, like can crushed, you know. You can use whatever you want, whatever feels good to you. And this is a recording of me like walking in the nature when I was with the family of my husband, like during the summer or something. So it's just about like material mix. So now we are already stage 2. Okay, so the thing that is interesting is like how you blend the sound all together. Me, what I like to do is not only use the tail and the beginning, is like to bring in the track like earlier, before into the layering. I just juxtapose the two main tracks. Like you see, this is like kind of like the beginning of this one, of the satisfaction, and then I start to bring about, like we are at 2 minutes in the mix, so I start to bring about slowly the thing that I consider that would be okay for dissatisfaction and bring discomfort to the journey, to the bodies. So if I play it like only solo, like now you can hear it like really slow. With the automation you can see the progression is really like slowly coming up, coming in, blending. And what I did also, I did like cut the first part, which is really interesting for me. Sorry. This track for me is like they talk like the language is like, seems like to be reversed, so this is what I wanted to emphasize in the mix. So I did repeated it like in another channel, and then I bring the volume like louder, so you have the two being roommate together, living together at the same time, so you can hear it. Otherwise you have only this part that for me is like layering the own song with its own like self, like it's like an echo somehow. So you just have to stretch the sound, and you see that you can not synchronize but match the sound, as like Tom was saying. You know, you have the rhythm that is organized in the horizontal axis, so you can like just go around this and try, like, because sometimes you think it's not gonna work and it's working perfectly, so it's like a puzzle. So in between, I like to, the thing that I didn't say at the beginning is for me was really important in my process. I started to shop around, like, I mean, like to collect sound, like to create my own library with a lot of diversity, nature sound, machine, like people talking, alien, something like that. We think it's alien, animals, like to bring all the colors of the earth into your playlist, because you are like creating like a journey for people to journey, to expand their state of consciousness, to become the trance, to become the dance. So you want to be as much as universal as you can. So all the preparation like work, if you are kind of a bit of organized into your own chaos, is gonna be a plus for you, because you will not give up on the playlist, because what can happen, oh, I don't have this sound, this doesn't match. So you want to have like a plenty of options, if you can hold it, handle it, and so you can shop around your own library then. So it's really interesting to try out like many textures and to juxtapose like different sounds. So you see this threshold track, like for me was the threshold, like I did brought it like really early into the track, because it's like really like blending together, like rising together, and then one is disappearing and the other one is like just revealing its own self. So it's interesting. This is another layer to bring like distortion and like something else that will trigger like more the middle space, like alpha waves, and starting to awaken something like of the discomfort or something. And machine, and it's really high pitched, like frequencies, like people that they don't feel good, they're like, oh no, it's coming, but I cannot kind of escape it, but I feel good because you have the delta, like soothing, like frequencies. So still have this track. Oh no, you don't have it anymore. Yeah, because I put it down. Okay, so if you go further. Okay. So you can hear that this guy is like making the job, it's accelerating, and yeah, the pressure is like building, like you have more rhythm, you talk to the heart, you talk to the blood, you talk to the breathing, so maybe people are like getting red on the skin, like they feel hot, like so this is happening, and this is dance, you know. And I love this guy, this sound. We all love it. Like as facilitator, if you know my noise, you love Shepherd Madness. It's really like bringing the up and down at the same time, and the sound is like kind of falling and rising at the same time. It's infinite loop of like madness, like really nice sound to trigger deep layers into people's journey. And yeah, I bring that the police to bring tension, so you can be really creative with it. So normally police like sirens are really like people, they don't really like it. It's like really alarming sound, so you can play with all the things. Bring like a dog barking or anything. So here we go. And some interesting things I was doing here. What I did is like I did slow down this sunlight track to jump like as a transition to jump into the next sound, and I was layering this transition with this. You guys. The falling in, this guy is really like delta drop, like transition. For me, it's like holding people into the delta after the collapse, so they can start to look into their own stuff. And so yeah, I was really bringing like different stuff, like beep, like kind of like the heart is like stopping at the hospital or something, like people are dying in the room somehow. So you can create like infinite like transition. It can be really creative with that. So this was for me a space for people like just to expand.
Por eso vivo contento de... Hazlo como una estrella de televisión del oeste. Modelos de lujo comportan el capota que se abre. ¡Vía libre!
And then you bring the heartbeat here and the cell phone. Like we're coming back. So I really like the combination of these two, because it's like Shepherd Madness but with a song, you know, like here are like creating the Shepherd Madness like in another way. And I found it like really too static. The isn't it a BT track, which is a track which I really love, but I wanted to mess it up, really mess it up. So to create like something that you're not expecting in the sound, you're like expecting like nice song and it's not happening, you know. So you don't have like, you don't get what you want, you just get what you need. Okay, so people are melting and then starting over. And I have this funny also also like sound, like audio. It's a train, like the description in a train, but it's reversed, so it creates like a discomfort somehow, you know. So yeah, this is interesting also. So again, now we are in the disintegration, the delta drop, but I wanted to bring something else. It's a talk
Found to explore like you,
about
Larry. I was not
brain
religious.
oscillations and consciousness.
That doesn't mean that I didn't think there was something spiritual going on just because I rejected religious dogma. And I kind of set myself on a search to learn more about that observer
So
inside
this
that
is the
Esther talks
original
about, that
with
awareness.
just,
And
I think
sound
there
was
is a
a way
reverb on it.
for me to kind of put aside those racing thoughts. You know, a lot of times people talk about how important meditation is, and I wanted to learn how to
Okay, so
meditate
if you
in
want
order
to
get
bring
in touch with that,
distortion
but
and
constant
to mess
thoughts
it up,
racing through my mind prevented me from
oh
doing that
shit.
until I found this particular kind of sound. And Evan was also exploring that sound after his coma, and that's how we met.
So sound is moving, like it's like it's bringing
it's a
like
particular kind of technology, basically known as binaural beats, and
you lower the
it's a way
volume,
of
you put it up,
information
like so the sound is
ears
moving,
that help
the
to bring
voice
the
is not really
brain
clear,
down
so
to
it's creating like this mental like chit-chat, like the people can hear it but cannot like really concentrate, focus on it because they're like already joining with all the other sounds. So
theta state of awareness, working around thinking.
and this chat, I wanted to have something about it, so I went to YouTube and I downloaded it also, so it was interesting for me. So just to say that, yeah, you can organize the sound like in Logic Pro, Audacity, or Ableton as you want, as it makes sense for you. And the thing is that you can like use like, yes, the reverse option. You can slow things down and speed things up also, and create like really like explore like all the transition and the effect that you have, because Logic Pro does offer like a lot of options. For instance, you have this kind of plugin for the reverberation. Reverb is like is touching the reflection of the sound in the space, so it's gonna add some space. And now it's more about like it's more about distortion, filter, envelope, and LFO. And the reverb that I was using otherwise, it was like space reverb, so they have names like they talk about space, you know, they could talk about rooms, halls, spring reverb, like this is some names, but you have like this vocabulary around room because it touches the space, and it brings like some like really spaciousness into the sound. So you can like import like a sound, like a pre-recorded sound, like pre-made sound that we call audio or song or samples. But you can also like create like your own sound also with through the different plugins that you can add through your journeys. Or for instance, if I want to bring about like a synthesizer, which I like, maybe some. Okay, so you can journey through the many digital synthesizer that you want. You will have different sounds, and you can just like, I'm gonna control it with the virus. It's gonna be easier for me. So just wait a second, and you will see that you will find all the same like sustain, release, cutoff, decay, reverb. Don't use. You have the different oscillator. You can also see like the waveform. You can access to the waveform. Something that I didn't mention at the beginning. Sorry if I'm messy. It's always like that. I'm starting to structure myself like these past years. So I did study like the waveforms and the sine wave. What is a sine wave? What is a square wave? What is a triangle wave? And what can help you? I can pass you. I can share this link. Yes, this one. I will pass it in the chat. Where is the chat? Yep. If you want to have fun and just study like really in a simple way, like the waveforms, like you have like a tutorial that will talk about like what is sound, what is amplitude, um, what is frequency. It's gonna help you to understand what is about synthesis also, which is the thing that is doing Pi nowadays is using like is doing synthesis. So it's interesting for you for your own understanding. Uh, to know what is frequency is like a repetition of the cycle in time. So also like terminology like harmonics, so harmonics are chords in space and melodies are organized in time also. So you can have like basic like knowledge and understanding about what is the wave, what's amplitude, like you can play it here. And you see the wave changing, like here they are talking about tweaking the frequency. So amplitude is a loudness. So you see, if I put it like put more amplitudes, it's gonna be louder, and then it will affect the waveform. If you touch frequency, it's gonna slow things down, and if you accelerate the frequencies, the number of repetition, the number of cycles that is measured in hertz, you're gonna have like more like fast like sound. So sorry. So this guy is really interesting, like also to understand how does sound like touch your ear, and how does the ear like is translating through. It's the brain that is actually like decoding like the electrical signal that the middle ear is amplifying, but the sound is moving. It's not really moving through space. It's vibrating. So you can play with amplitude. You will hear it louder. So you will resonate and feel it in your body. So our bodies are made of water. So it's interesting to understand that. Also, I was thinking and contemplating like all this thing about sound, and I was thinking maybe we are just big ears like in the space, you know, and we receive the electrical signal and we translate it to the room. So it's interesting if you want to to understand a bit more what you're doing, and also it will help you to handle like these guys. If you want to start to create your sound, or just to bring one sound that you really like from a synth, you can bring modulation and distortion and activate different oscillators. Mix the oscillators. What you're like writing like live, you can record it like Cathy and Tom also they did like demonstrated it, so you can just like press normally the record meditation. Sorry, now I will do this like this. Okay, so let's go. Jesus that then have to stop the recording. And so you can bounce, like export as audio file or bounce in place. So you will have like your audio track like coming into your project. Like, yeah. So if you then want to listen to it, because MIDI, I repeat, this is the MIDI language I was talking about. Yes, bye. This guy is the MIDI, so you see it's not a waveform, it's just like a signal that is sending like from the controller that I have, the keyboard, to the computer to say, okay, I want to play this synth and I want to play these keys and I want to play these notes. So if I want to listen to it now, what I just wrote, it's really loud. And then what you can do if you like to tweak a bit like the sound, you can select, like I like to use like Command U is like to prepare for the bounce. It doesn't work on this one, doesn't matter. I just wanted to create a loop for me to be able to rework like the sound here and to add like some effects. So I will play it like this, and so normally it should appear just over there. Yes, now it's okay. So you can play with dry and wet in the reverb. And you can change your like all parameters, like different like style of reverb, like depends. You just have to try it out. I'm not an expert, I repeat. I'm really new to that. So you can also tweak the different parameters. So this is really if you want to bring like some
Hargo, we don't hear your voice when the track is
sorry.
playing.
Sorry, yeah, because it was really, really loud. I think it was really loud. Thank you, Aylan. Yeah. So anyway, it was just to bring this about, like you can like write and record your own voice and write like your own like a little audio because it's infinite. Another one that I also like to use. So we're gonna delete this. And we're gonna change, like it's just you access through the software instruments lists that you have in your program, and I will bring about like lab, like Pi already like demonstrated like something about this plugin. It's really interesting because it's free. So it doesn't cost anything, and you have a lot of different instruments. You have percussions, cellos, strings, trumpet, and you also have like sound of natures, and you can like access to it like if you want to try it out. Okay, now it's the synth. Maybe we'll go to the woodwind. Or maybe not. Okay. Since you also have since different paths, it doesn't work now, but you can preview it, and you have different like different sort of instrument that you can play, not only synthesizers. This one is a pad. And you can bring also modulation, and you can, as the synth that I've just demonstrated, you can record like the sound that you want to create, if you want to create a library or just add like some sound in it. So I don't want to be like I don't want it to be like too much. But this is something that now I'm like enjoying doing, like bringing into the journeys, and above all for the sleep playlists, which are not that simple to create. I've been reworking like my first one like during therapy, and I'm like kind of struggling with the volumes and all to not trigger people too much during the sleep. So yes, just to finish about it, like it just, yeah, it allows you to be really creative. Just you have to practice a bit around it and to feel comfortable. And you have different options, like with Audacity is free. Ableton, we had a question like for you, Tom, in the chat, but the person that had to leave, it was about what was the version that you had? What is the difference between lead version, light version, and the full version? And what is, if you know about the pricing also? Me, Logic Pro, I didn't pay it because I already had it with my husband working on Logic Pro at home. So I did use it like quite like intuitively also, because I've been exposed to this software like for many years, because I'm like sneaking into the studio of my husband like to see him like creating music and doing all sorts of things. So it was interesting for me to jump into this one. So yes, I'm sure I'm like forgetting like the half of what I wanted to bring about, but yeah, thank you for listening. I think it's a good one for this call. So thank you if you have question.
Thanks. I had one question. I saw you had you were able to alter slowing down the process of individual tracks. Do you know how to do that in Ableton?
Sorry, repeat it. Sorry, can you repeat again?
Yeah, so you were able to automate like how the key breaks slow down individual tracks.
Yeah, I'm able to do that. Yeah, this is what I've done, and it's true. It's happening through the tool of fading. You use like fading tool and fading out, and you just have to activate like the time. I can show you. I can share my screen if you want to see that, because it's interesting. Okay, so go back to share screen. Okay. Hello again. So this is the iPad. I don't need it now. Where did I do that? I think it was on Isn't it a pity? This guy. Right there. Okay. I'm gonna zoom in. So you see, this is the fading tool. So all the tools that you want to access, like glue, to bring to merge, as you just not just, but you demonstrated like before, the glue tool exists. It's just not the same name, but with the fading tool, fading in, fading out, it's like to create this transition and to cross, to blend together like two tracks. So you have this one. Okay, as such, you just have to, instead of, you use the same tool like fade in, fade out, and instead you put slow down or bring it faster. I don't remember the so you just have to activate this. It's really easy to do. Instead you do like a normal fading in, for instance. So this is normal because it's white, and if I want to speed up or slow down, this one I will have the option to speed up. I know, now it's slow. Yeah, it's like speeding up from the 0 point, yeah. From the slowness to the fastness. It's not like you did, yeah, I understand your question. It's not like you did in Ableton, but it's like on the section of the fading fading in or fading out that you will bring the distortion, or the speeding up or the slowing things down. And if you want also to reverse, reverse is all right. Okay, for instance, this guy, if I want, yeah, to reverse menu is accessible when you do a right click on the audio section, and you have the option reverse on off, so you can activate it also with through a shortcut just over there. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
I don't know if it was your question.
I've just been trying to figure out how to do that on Ableton.
Okay.
The individual tracks.
Yeah, sorry for, I see that in the chat it was a little hard to hear. Sorry for this inconvenience. It's happening with Zoom. Yes, one thing that is really important to see in Logic Pro also, so that's why I was saying I'm forgetting almost everything, is the bounce like option. You need, yes, so now you're gonna make like you're gonna do Command A to select all the audio tracks, the channels, all the channels that you have, and then you can bring about the Command U, and it's gonna facilitate the job for you. You don't have like to stretch the section that you want to export. It's gonna select it for you straight, so or you can bounce your track here. Me, I always work with Wave and like a high quality format, because I like it to be like to maintain all the details and the effect that I bring into the mix. So I prefer to not use like MP3. I share it in MP3 with the community, but for my session I will use like Wave format. So if you want to export like Wave, it's gonna be PCM and MP3, and then you export in the folder that you wish, and how you did like organize your sound library and sound project. So yeah, but like MP3, what I do, even if it's still MP3 on YouTube, is when I do download a track or a song or a speech or anything that I want to bring into the journey, I do it in high quality if it's available. It's gonna take more space, a lot of more space into your computer. You need really a lot of space for that. And also, as I use it for my live sessions, like in the iPad, sometimes I have some problems, but it doesn't compress because MP3 is compressing and it's like burning all the details. So if you like to work like with the volume and bring like details into your mix, this is how I like to work also. So I like to work in Wave format.
How are you using Logic Pro for live session?
Did you ask me?
No, this question was first to Caro, but then yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
Sorry, I heard bye. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to stay silent.
we can answer together. So me, I don't use it live. For my live session, I use the iPad. If you for you guys, if you've been watching the past recording like we did like with Sophie and Gra, it was about the live environment. So I really use and all my playlists that I've been doing with the frequencies like more minimalist, like in the sense that I don't use like pre-made songs. I did it with the synthesizers and all the apps that I have in the iPad, because there is something that allows me to manage it with the hands and the body directly. And I think Pi is doing it like with his analog setup and with his a computer, which I don't really have for now. I don't have this live environment, so I'm really curious to come to Maya and to spend hours like in the like geeking of the setup of Pi setup, yeah, to see how he does that. Like I've seen him like previously, but while he was in Europe, so I'm really curious about that. But for the live session, I do it live like through AUM, like I was describing like last week. AUM, it's like the sequencer. It's like a DAW for me, a digital audio workstation, but portable, like mobile. And I can mix the sound. I can create loops, distortions, glitch in live, you know. And also, if I export my playlist, when I do export my playlist, at the beginning I was doing it. To play it, I was playing it through the iPad and through a DJ Pro, to be able to scratch it, to be able to tweak it, like to add some layers and to play also with my noise, or if I was more confident to bring like more apps onto it. Because sometimes you feel in the live environment, I'm sure you've noticed that, Ilan, that this is not what the room needs also. So that's a good thing with the live environment. You can listen to the bodies and you can adapt.
maybe we can hear from it. It'd be interesting to hear from the non-creators, like what you guys feel about listening to the three platforms, which are wildly different. Like Benedict, Katarina, Claudia, how do you feel as someone interested in the inner dance space, and then considering this in the long term?
Can start. They are different, but at the same time, seeing so many platforms, there are things that are coming back, and that I start to see, okay, I start to see in the repetition how things could work. But I know when I will start doing it, I will be like, how was it again? For sure. So it's very interesting. I'm faced now with the question, which platform to use? Because I think already maybe even acquired DJ Pro because Sophie is working with it. But then, yeah, I liked what you showed last week, Caro, and then I liked Ableton, and then I liked Logic Pro, and now I don't know anymore. So I think it will be maybe playing around with the free versions and looking what I like most. But my biggest question now is like, I see how I can start playing with clips and putting them all together, and I'm itching to do that. But my biggest question is still, how do I construct the waves? Do I do it through the 12 stages and or not, or do I just do it at my own feeling and see what it gives? But maybe that we are still going to talk about in the next, because Sophie had said we would learn about that only after the summer.
Yeah. I think even after the year, we could just keep holding workshops as well in the community space. That's what I was thinking about. But there's something I was listening to. I forgot if it was during Katie's or Cara's talk, but no, it was Cassia's question, I think, to Katie. Yeah. She was having a hard time constructing the wave, and then it made me reflect, because when I do things live, I really have to have this attitude that whatever came up, that's really needing to be there. But then when I learned to work in the studio, whether it be in Ableton or in Logic, because you know how different it is to try to write in a notebook with pen and paper as opposed to when you're typing on a phone or on a laptop. Your brain works differently, because if you know that you can edit what you type so easily, you know, as opposed to when you write it down on a nice notebook, especially, you can't really just erase that. So you need to think more slowly. So there's something about nonlinear thinking through the digital that allows you to consider choices. I guess because today is about the studio elements, which is more not doing things live. I think this gives us of being able to work in this more like a literacy fashion rather than orality. It's like in orality, once you said it, you can't really take it back, as opposed to when you're writing a book, you could edit that word, sentence, or paragraph in the editing stage. You can't really edit your conversation. You know, we sometimes end up at night saying, why did I say that? You know, you can't really go back in time. That's the difference between time and space, dimensionally speaking. Working with Ableton Audacity or Logic at least gives you the ability to look back and forward in time. Like it's like going outside of time. And then you would know. Because when you're doing it live, you basically would know it through the context or the people who are there, like whatever's happening. That's what orality brings. When you're in dialogue, in the spoken word, you have to really be present as to what's happening then and there. But you cannot stop time. You literally need to conduct the changes. So I think with your kind of work, Benedict, which is very science oriented, you're in partly the medical domain, not just in the spiritual domain. I think when you're in the spiritual domain, the live would work really well. But when you're in the medical domain, the scientific aspect would need something more observable, something more static, something that you can adjust over time and create changes. You would know the wave anyway through the editing process. So I think you cannot really think too much when you're constructing, like when you're well, a lot of good writers, they normally try not to think too much when they're composing. And then when if it's going to come out as an article that's going to be published, or I mean, even when we construct emails, we don't want it to be messy. So we would try to edit an email just as much as we would try to edit a book, in a way that we would not try to edit an authentic conversation. So those two mediums are quite far apart in terms of properties. So I would see someone like you definitely going into a digital audio workstation, like in the long term. But to construct the wave, most of us, whether it be Katie, Tom, me, Carol, Ahilan, we probably don't know what we're doing when we construct something. Most writers, they actually block themselves when they think about the wave. Our experiences in our journeys normally are what teaches us and what works and what does not. And because the wave is kind of different between age groups, contexts, cultures, geographies. What fascinates me about like Belgium, for example, is maybe the Flemish part would be the DAW part, and then the orality part would be the French part. So
Yeah.
I think that part
Yeah.
needs both expressions inside you because of where you live already.
Yeah, for me, it will be the combining of both parts in one person. That will also be interesting
Mm.
because when I give sessions, I'm not in the science part, and so now this seems very sciencey, and then I'm thinking how will I bring that into the intuitive part? So that
Mm.
will be my process, I think. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why it's good to accumulate tools. I have too many tools, but I like the insurmountability of never perfecting them because it's the art of practicing and learning where the happy accidents are occurring.
Mm.
So I think it's okay to actually learn Audacity, Logic, and Ableton if one would dare, if one had just enough time. No one has an abundance
Mhm.
of time. I don't see anything wrong with that. There's always growth in the learning of the musical programs already kind of makes us a musician, and that already thickens the corpus callosum. And the second tract we're usually going for is the arcuate fasciculus. It connects the Broca's and the Wernicke's area, which is language comprehension and language production. So what I really love about this stage in the work is it forces us to listen, but the act of listening is forcing us to produce. Like we're not just consuming the sound, we're learning to produce the sound through the recreation process. And I think that would structure the brain that had been laying down maybe too much and is needing to what I'm saying is there's this exponential growth that happens when one moves from consumer to producer in this type of work. So this level of jumping from live to studio, that's a huge quantum leap already in terms of brain hemispheres. It's not that we're prioritizing one over the other, but having both more or less allows us to have a Chinese brain and a German brain, both developing equally in equal measure at the same time. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Katarina or Claudia, would you like to share your interest, your feelings?
Yes, hi. I want to say thank you to the three people. We learned so much and heard so much words and sounds. It's always overwhelming for me. Really, I don't know where to start. I jump from instrument to voice to sounds to Odyssey to my noise. I don't know where to start. I'm blocked, totally blocked. And yes, I don't know what hardware I need, which gigabyte, which program. I don't know where to start. That's my point. Yes.
Okay. Start with maybe getting a piece of paper and then writing the three things down in random order and maybe putting it in the wall and get a dart. I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter. Any platform will lead you to the same. And once you get interested in one, you might try the other. It's actually, like one of the hardest things about playlisting is commitment. Because even when you try to choose one song over another, it's already overwhelming, let alone to choose the platform upon which the songs would be chosen. So I think that's supposed to be part of the process. So don't get overwhelmed. Maybe in your mind, like Katie, Tom, Caro, they're meant to represent these different dimensions. Don't I think that's your inner dance. It's literally to like in the energy or in the sound, we're supposed to absorb a lot of the information, and in the music, when we're simply listening to it, it doesn't really transform yet into content. Now the next stage should be to transition that into a more masculine element, and that really just needs to be a one thing. You know, like how I usually metaphorize it, it's like what a painter does. When you try to paint, you don't really try to see the whole painting. Sometimes you can see the gist or the image of it, but you don't plan every single brush stroke that would construct the whole painting in a sequence. You have to start with the first brush stroke, and normally that would tell you how the second and the fifth and the eighth would happen. So in this way, this is still a little bit like the inner dance, where allow your body to absorb everything that had been shared. For me, my training was, I used to be overwhelmed. So what I did, because I was interested in why am I overwhelmed? If I give into the overwhelm, I'm going into the emotion part, or I'm going into a spiral. So I was interested more in asking, okay, what aspect of me is getting overwhelmed? And how is it that other people may not get overwhelmed? So I got interested in training myself to develop the part that can handle those things. So what I did was I actually just absorbed more and more overwhelming information. So you know how when you exercise in the beginning, it hurts the body, you know, you can't breathe properly and your muscles ache. But the more you do it, after like a week or the second week, you realize, wait, I'm not actually sweating that much, or I'm not panting that much. I got stronger without realizing it, but I needed to exercise. So if this, like last week and this week, this is the first time you're hearing about these. Let's say you haven't really ran for a long period, and this is like the first real marathon that you did, your body would definitely get overwhelmed. That means you need to do it again, and then you need to do it again. So that's why we're not introducing these in a weekend training with all the concepts and everything. We really stretch this out. So I think you're one of the brave ones. Everyone else is in summer vacation, but you're with us, listening to these amazing people share these technical stuff. My advice then for you and everyone listening is, don't think that you're just absorbing content. You're absorbing dimensionality. You're absorbing possibilities, which is this is like a lot that I have to take in at one given time. It's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to just take on the gist. Like when you're learning a language, you would, if you're shopping for languages, it's like, okay, what feels right, what feels like doable. So think of Audacity, Logic Pro, and Ableton as 3 separate languages. When we learned our languages, we normally didn't have a choice. We were just exposed to it through circumstance and our personal history. This is very metalingual in a way that you're actually going to be given the choice to choose a language, but you cannot make the choice unless you were not introduced to each and every one. So the fact that you sat down for 3 hours listening to 3 languages, it's like you're receiving holisms, like totalities. And then when you choose, that's actually when you're supposed to take things one at a time. That's when you would lose the overwhelm. And going back to what I was speaking to Benedict, this has to be stages of development. Like learning this is like growing from a baby. It can't be that you're expected to be in mastery of this. And maybe in a year, we will all look back at this, and then do you remember that time? Maybe you still consider that you're not master, but having learned certain things, your brain would have changed by then. So that's the challenge that we give you and others. It's up to you, you know. Again, like we consider sound, music alters the brain so hugely. Would we not be interested in the way that structures beyond just the experience of receiving it? If you're to move from consumer to producer, this is the point. So I hope this also inspires aside from overwhelms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Katarina?
Yes, so thank you for everyone. So yes, I feel committed. Actually, I'm starting with I would like to record a playlist, and I feel blessed because when I started, those Zooms about playlisting has been offered, so I felt like being supported in my process of starting with a playlist. So I'm aware that I've discovered this inner dance in 2017, and I've never jumped into the creation of the playlist. But in some way, I'm feeling like a baby, like a child when is in his way to learn to walk and is falling down. And I guess there's a kind of energy that will brings him up. And I'm feeling like in this stage actually, and the inspiration of creating like a playlist, the intention is a recording one, because I'm still, as I've already mentioned to you, Pai, those past few years, I've been in very deep dialogue with a group of doctors and other people. And so those dialogues since have really inspired me to create like 5 playlists, and those 5 playlists the intention will have like a dialogue, we'll work in concert, the 5 playlists. So my commitment is to be present in each Zoom, and I to make it easy for me, if I got one even piece of information and I put in practice like immediately, it's very good for me. So for example, Caro shared during the last Zoom call this wave to convert the song not to MP3 but to wave. So it's very little advice, but I did it immediately. So and it's a way for me to be on track. There's many things that it's not for me now, and I'm aware of it, so I don't feel overwhelmed because it's not for me now. I'm in the beginning phase. I'm starting with the DJ Pro, with my nose. The intention is quite clear. For sure, there's still this building waves is coming up, but it's for me, I'm committed to this each day. And it's very important to me. So it's like, as you have mentioned, being in this inner dance process. And yes, but I have to say, it's because of a specific project that brings me really to be in it. So yes, and thank you for mentioning about the recording one playlist and the one in live, because I didn't think about like really the subtlety between the both of them, but it confirms for my project that the recorded one will be what will be needed. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I'll let the 3 close. I really am just a fly in the wall. Just wanted to hear feedbacks as well so that we have circularity. Tom, Katie, Caro, would you like to close this somehow? This big room, an introductory room that you guys have been able to hold today?
Yeah, I'll say a little bit just to close. I definitely get the overwhelm part. I think it can be very overwhelming sometimes, but there's not really a rush. You can just play around, and there's so many resources out there at the moment. You just type it into the search engine, how do I do this, and you'll get hundreds of videos all telling you how to do that one specific little thing. So yeah, it's really just a case of getting stuck in. And
If I could ask the three of you a closing question that could be interesting, what do you get out of it? Like, what goes on in your body when it could be from when you start a project and then when you finish it, what's the point? What do you get the most out of it?
For me, it's real process. I feel everything through the body. It's like I have like when I'm like creating like a playlist, it's really like sorts of embodiments of the inner dance, but there's a sort like I feel like a lot of energy in the hands and in my whole body. So it's like the system of feedbacks that I receive. And I know it works. Like that, I know it works. So it's the listening. You become the big ear. That's what the metaphor I wanted to bring about. Like before, you're becoming kind of a big ear, and many big ears like in the space, and we are communicating through electricity and resonance and vibration. So it's just the big brain of the consciousness. Is how you hold the collective consciousness and yourself through this monster journey that is like playlisting. Is like, you know what, I'm gonna be super transparent with you. I was like contemplating this call. I'm like, okay, me doing like a call like about like talking about Logic Pro really with my husband, like working in the industry. I know for me like like mini I don't know anything about it, so it was like a big step for me to talk about that. And I was really super feeling comfortable with Kathy and Tom. Tom, sorry, I wanted to make a joke because it was Abel Tom. Ta-da!
Oh
So
no,
thank you.
he's got a new DJ name.
Yeah, exactly, DJ name. So, and yeah, I was really feeling comfortable through this call. Like really, as I said at the beginning, super honored like to be with you guys. And it was really a reflection of you guys, what you talk about. I was a bit messy in the end, but I don't want it to repeat like the all the function like this, because we only have 3 people left, so I don't want it them to leave, you know. And I also wanted to add that Claudia, I think Claudia, Benedict, and Katarina, they were there like during the last call about the apps until the end.
Wow.
So yes, thank you so much.
Oh, Caro, I think you were talking about Antonia's sharing.
Yes, true. We have the little video of Antonia. Yeah. Maybe if Kathy or Tom or anyone wants to help like close the call, and then we can launch maybe the video of Antonia that I just have just there.
Yeah, I can add something as well. I can hear myself echoing. I don't know if I am for you.
It's good now. It's something to do with Caro's account. It's good now.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to say from the creative process of it, I really didn't expect to have the energy in my body that I feel when I've been creating the playlists in Audacity. And the very first one that I did, I think it took me about 30 hours. I didn't really eat, sleep, or I was like, I'm in the zone. And it was like, I can't leave this. I have to do it. And it was like, I was on this ride. And then it took me about a week to process. So now that time has got shorter because I understand more. Oh, this does this and this does this. But it was really a huge creative force that I felt in my body. And then I like to do it where I know that I have the time to pretty much do the playlist in one go. I don't like doing a bit here and then go away and come back to it after a few days, because I feel like I can't focus on anything else. I just want to do it. So if I know I want to work on a playlist, I make sure that I have a day that is completely open. I don't have to talk to anybody, and then I can be in that zone again. And then it might be after a few days that I come back and just do some tweaks and I listen. I'm in the gym or something. But otherwise, it's like, okay, I finished it. It's like a piece of paper. Okay, halas, as they say in Egypt. It's like, and I just completely let go of it. Of no attachments, and it is what it is then. So yeah, that's me. But thank you for listening, everyone, and yeah, Caro and Tom as well, and Pi. Nice to see you.
Yeah, well, I just spent a couple of minutes thinking about Audace Katie and Logic Caro. So it's kind of all worked out, really, hasn't it?
That's just perfect. We need one for Pi, so we need to think about it.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is that new thing that Mario brought me, the Norns Shield. The whole circuit board is called Raspberry Pi. The whole machine is actually a Pi board. Anyway.
Cute Raspberry Pi.
Very good. Well, I think creative process wise, I would definitely mirror both of what you've said in there, and I've become a bit hesitant sometimes to get involved with a playlist because I know it's just gonna like sweep me in and I'm gonna lose time, and I'll be on it all day just working at it kind of feverishly. It's definitely something that puts me in a flow state, and I realize I haven't eaten or slept, or I've got some appointment, and I get really annoyed when I have to be pulled away from it because it's like I'm so close, I'm nearly there. So I get very involved in it, and I really love it, and the same, I'm processing something as I'm doing it. I can feel it, or mapping it out as I'm doing it, and then by the end, it's like somehow I just know when it's right and when it's not right, because I just feel it. It's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do here, whatever that thing is. So yeah, it's very much a creative process that I think has got me from quite an early stage. Yeah, that would be my take on it.
How long is Antonia's video? For anyone who knows? Who's got it on? Cara?
It's 6 minutes and 24 seconds. If you want to watch it now, otherwise we can also send it into the groups.
The option is to send it to the groups.
Okay.
So that they would have been in the situation of having watched the 3.5 hour video. And then it's so information dense. To be fair to Antonia, that's better like in the beginning rather than at the end. And then people would enjoy it more.
Okay, so we will send it. Thank you so much.
I think for now, let's let it be Katie, Tom, Cara contributions, and Ahilan as well being here, and then everyone else. So yeah, let's close. Amazing. You guys are probably sleepy. Thank you to the survivors, Katerina, Claudia, Benedict.
Thank you.
We'll give you an award.
Love you.
I'll remember.
An award.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Night.
See you soon.
Good night.